Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Good evening, Dr. Goh, our guest of honor, Mrs. Lim, Principal, Ms. Lim, Vice Principal, teachers, parents, staff and students from the Knox School, Melbourne, Australia, school representatives, and fellow student leaders. Welcome to our 11th Student Leadership Lecture Series and Investiture. My name is Anissa.
And I'm Emily.
We are pleased to be your MCs for this evening. The theme for tonight is celebrate the human spirit of endurance and resilience.
Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, founder of the modern Singapore, is a strong example of a leader with tremendous level of endurance and resilience. Mr. Lee had dedicated his whole life for the betterment of Singaporeans. A leader who refused to give up despite the many challenges faced by Singapore in the past. A man of actions, he was resolute in his quest to bring the people of Singapore together and did not back down from difficult situations. Many times, he had to make hard decisions with only one purpose in mind, which is to improve the lives of Singaporeans. Mr. Lee's resilient spirit prevailed and Singapore's future was secured, as he turned the little red dot to a gleaming global beacon. Today, we are able to live in a harmonious and safe country, and all people, regardless of race, language, or religion, can excel if you put in the hard work. As a mark of respect to Mr. Lee, we will all observe a minute of silence. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Let us now observe a minute of silence to reflect on Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's immense contributions to the building of modern Singapore and pay our respect to his passing.
Thank you. Please be seated. Yes, Emily, Mr. Lee has shown us that with strong purpose and a never say die spirit, the power of one person can make a difference. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for all that you have done. We'll do our best to continue to build on your legacy. This evening, we have the privilege to hear from Dr. Robert Goh, his perspective on leadership, and also interact with him during and after the event. Dr. Goh has done numerous mountaineering expeditions, one of which was the Singapore Shishagama expedition in 2002. He challenged himself and his team and pushed the limits by being the first Southeast Asian team to scale a mountain of over 8,000 meters and completing it in an alpine style. With a heart to share his passion and groom the younger generation, Dr. Goh also set up the Make It Real Students Program in NUS, a program designed to build in young Singaporeans the spirit of adventure.
To start this evening's program, we would like to invite our principal, Mrs. Lim, to give us the welcome address. Mrs. Lim, please.
Dr. Robert Goh, our guest of honor, staff and students from the Knox School, Melbourne, Australia, parents, staff and students, leaders, ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to you and a warm welcome to our 11th Student Leadership Lecture Series in Investiture. This is our 11th year that this event is organized. The purposes of this event are to recognize and affirm the contribution made by our student leaders, welcome and initiate a new batch of student leaders in the school, and also create an opportunity for everyone seated here to hear the different leadership perspectives The theme this evening honors the human spirit of resilience and endurance. A leader who is close to the hearts of many of us, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew devoted his entire adult life working tirelessly for the people of Singapore. Let me share the cornerstones of good leadership using Mr. Lee's leadership journey. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew served as Prime Minister of Singapore from 1959 to 1990. Since then, he took on the arduous task of building a nation. Then, the island's 2 million people faced an uncertain future, and that uncertainty weighed heavily on the man who was leading it. There was no resource. Singapore had no choice but to depend on its leaders to fight hard for its survival. Despite the daunting task ahead, Mr. Lee chose to set his sights on building a country for the future, and he never veered from that vision. Mr. Lee was strongly guided by core principles, one of which was that paramount interest of the whole community must prevail. Many times he had to make difficult and perhaps unpopular decisions, but he stuck to his principles and he did not waver. He learned constantly and was always on the lookout for ways to do things better. Over the years, he gained support of the people and worked closely with them to overcome all odds. He ensured that there was a new wave of capable leaders to succeed him and continue the work that he started. Mr. Lee spent time guiding the young leaders and made sure that they were right for the job. His constant questioning and fatherly care for his people will be fondly remembered. Today we have risen from an island nation separated from Malaysia to one envied worldwide for our rapid economic growth, stable government, and all-round efficiency. Singapore enjoys the world's highest per capita income and is leading business center for Asia. We have a substantial and powerful defense force, a sound education system, affordable housing, and a clean and safe environment. The people of Singapore are able to live in a harmonious climate because Mr. Lee was not willing to settle for less. This transformation did not come overnight. It called for a large amount of hard work over a long period of time. And to the student leaders, this is the start of a leadership journey. Serve the community with your heart. Care and work closely with others. Learn relentlessly and never give up. A leadership journey may be hard, but it does not have to be lonely. Inspire and build more leaders who share your dreams and enable one another to realize these dreams. Yesterday, I led a small team from our school to pay our last respects at the Parliament House in Mr. Lee. And many events have happened since then. I did some reflection today, and I would like to share this reflection in the form of a poem, which I quickly penned down this morning, and it's called Remembering Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. Can I have a set of slides, please? There was a time when our nation faced troubles. There was a man who believed that we can survive. With sincerity, he cared. With his ingenuity, he explored. With his conviction, he persevered. With his team, he built. With his vision, he transformed. With his courage, he left a legacy. A legacy to cherish and a legacy to inspire. Thank you, Mr. Lee. I wish you all an enjoyable and meaningful evening ahead. I'm very sure you'll be inspired by Dr. Goh. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lim. Mrs. Lim, please stay on the stage to present certificates of appreciation. The student councillors devote much of their time supporting school events and improving the school experience for the students. To show our appreciation for the good work done by the student council, our principal, Mrs. Lin, will present certificates of appreciation to the outgoing student councillors. Sharanya, President. Mr. Low, Vice President of Student Affairs. Lokesh, Vice President of Student Affairs. New York Fan, Treasurer and Secretary. Fran Shahan, Director of School Affairs. Director of Student Affairs. Bevan Tang, Director of Council Affairs. Sherilyn Fu, Director of Discipline. Farisha, Director of Communication.
Senior Councillors, Jasmine. Daniel Chan. Harry Prasad. Lin Jialong. Thank you, Mrs. Lim. Next, we would like to invite Dr. Robert Goh, author and motivational speaker, to share his thoughts and leadership experiences. Dr. Goh, please.
Mrs. Lim, Principal, Yangzhou Secondary School, teachers, staff, parents, students, guests, student leaders, and our friends from Australia. A very good evening to all of you. It is a great honor to be here today in the midst of so many leaders. And I'm very much encouraged by the cohort size that I see before you. You are now the leaders in this school, and you will be the future leaders of our society. In one way or another, you are the fabric of Singapore. And I think it is very apt this week, with the passing of our great leader and mentor, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, that this investiture is held. And I would like to thank Mrs. Lim for inviting me to speak on this occasion. Many years ago, I was like one of you guys sitting down there, a student. I was in the last class, secondary one. And one day, my maths teacher called me up to the front of the class. I failed the maths test, 0 from 100. I can remember that day because he took 1 whole month to teach us something. I think it was simultaneous equations. And I cannot make any sense of it. What is the point of finding out what x, y, z is? What are they? The idea was too abstract for me, and I could not pay attention in class. I avoided the hurdle and I avoided the subject, and I played too much, too often, and it showed in the test. So he looked at me, and in those days, he took this very long ruler and smashed it down on the table. The glass shattered. And for 1 minute, he stared at me with tears in his eyes. And do you know what went on in my mind? Have a guess. I was thinking to myself, how on earth am I going to find the money to pay for that piece of glass? 20 years later, I was in a team to climb Mount Everest. This is Mount Everest looking from the south base camp. And this is a team in 1998 where we put 2 climbers, Edwin Siu and Khoo Swee Chow, on the summit of Mount Everest. Edwin was the first climber from the Singapore team to reach the summit. And he has been my constant climbing partner for a very long time. And as you know, a leader, you have to lead your people. You have to lead your team. And during that time, our goal was the top of the mountain. For many of you here, I think the mountain and the Himalayas are very far from the mind. The mountains in front of you may be your subject matter, maths, science, physics, chemistry, arts. But they are nevertheless mountains that you have to overcome. As leaders, what would be the goal? What would be the objective? What would be the mountain top that you would want to lead your team to? For a mountain, it's very clear. Let's climb up to the top. And this is what we did in 1998. We planned and we climbed to the top of Everest. And many have asked, after climbing up Everest, what's next? There are no more higher mountains in the world to climb. And it is true. Everest is the highest mountain on earth. But the beauty about mountaineering is there is always invariably challenges that you can create on the mountain. This is me on the south summit of Everest at 8,500 meters. We were all on oxygen. Breathing through our bottles, it makes life easier to climb. And the next challenge was to climb Everest without that supplementary oxygen. Breathe ourselves. As a leader, when we have arrived, there is always a mountain or a challenge greater than what you're standing on at the moment. And Eddie and myself set a task to climb Everest without oxygen. And in many leadership, taking the first step is always the hardest. You're faced with this enormous task in front of you. And you think to yourself, what am I going to do? Where do I And there will be doubts flying through your mind. It is so difficult. Why do it? Why not do something easier? And it is also very dangerous. Why not do something safer? And if you have watched Lord of the Rings, you have a goblin there. Say, Master, it's not a good thing to do. Do something else. It's the ring. Whatever doubts you have will come flying through your mind and to take you off the task. A leader's job is never finished. In fact, you would have to work much harder than the rest of the teammates. In the long run, one step will lead on to the second step, and so on and so forth. And in no time, you would cross the first bridge. You would have made your obstacle something of the past, and you have moved on. And you climb the mountain step by step, higher and higher, from Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, and so on to the summit. We can't climb Everest without oxygen straight away, or right away. We need training. We chose a mountain called Sisapama, which is just at the depth zone of 8,000 meters. Everest is 8,884 meters. Every mountain you climb, you need to make very small steps. And this is our very first steps. We wanted to know whether we will survive in the death zone at that altitude. And we choose a mountain just at the fringe of the death zone. Then there comes the hard work. As a leader, you have big ideas, big dreams. Maybe you want to conquer the world. There's nothing wrong with that. You have the passion to do what you want to do, and you have the vision to see it through. But nothing comes through without hard work, and that's a fact. There are no shortcuts to the top. In mountaineering, we train 3 times a day, climbing 30 stories of HCD flats with 35 kilos of backpack weight, running 3 times a day, 15 kilometers, carrying a pack in Bukit Timah Hill, and going to the gym. And that was all on top of our full-time jobs. Imagine, after your school, after finishing your homework, then you start the training. You'll sleep probably at 12 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock. But what motivates and binds us together was that we had a shared objective. We had a shared goal to achieve what we set out to do. And this is one of the most difficult but challenging part of leadership. It is not about you. You have to inspire your team. If your team fails, you fail. If the weakest in your team cannot get up the mountain, the expedition is a washout. And that was our philosophy when we trained together. We helped one another, we tried our very best, and we cared for each other. And on the mountains, there are no margin of error that you can ever take a chance of risking. If you fall into the crevasse, you die. If you slip, you might survive, but you put your teammates through a lot of effort to rescue you. And on the mountain, we all carry a backpack like this. Helmets, ice packs, and all the mountaineering gear, all in all, weighs about 35 kilos. 35 kilos is about 2 suitcase weight on the airplane. And you have to carry it up all the way to 8,000 meters. And inside is your food, your equipment, your warm clothing, and all the survival gear. This is Edwin and myself the very last camp before we submit. I think at the time it was the highest that anyone from this part of the world has ever slept. That was 7,400 meters. And the oxygen up there is probably about 40% of what it is down here. And we were very thrilled because it is our very last step to the top. We woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, started boiling water, started preparing for the climb up to the top of the summit. And as we climbed, day broke, and we can see the magnificent views in front of us. As you climb higher, everything else falls below you. And it is a great feeling. Your journey as a leader, you will see as you go through that path that you will attain greater and greater heights. Obviously, as leaders, you must have visions for your team or the group that you are leading. And it is all about scaling new heights. No point leading people down the drain. You always lead them upwards and improvement to what it was before. And there we go, the peak and the ridges on the mountain that we see so high and so far away are now getting lower and lower and below us. And we can see the mountain peak just beyond the summit rocks. And that's Edwin right in front. And that's me holding the ropes for Edwin went on forward to the top of the mountain. It was only when we came back down that many has commented, "Robert, why didn't you get to the top of the mountain first? You were ahead." It didn't actually occur to me who was first. The team goal was very important, and safety was first. And the reason behind that was, I read in past accounts that there was a Taiwanese climber the year before who got blown off the mountain while taking a photograph. And I said to myself, I did not want this to happen to our team. So I put on a very strong anchor, hammer it down, and I step into the ice and hold on to the rope and wait for everything to go to the top. So if the winds are very strong, at least the ropes will hold on to it. And remember, the team objective is paramount. No point succeeding and then you have half the team or another one of the teammates being blown off the mountain, and in this scenario, the body can never be found. And that's the iconic picture of Edwin on top of Sisapama. And we came up with the news as the very first from this part of the world to summit a mountain into the depth zone without using supplementary oxygen and in alpine style. Alpine style means climbing without guides, sherpas, or any help. You carry everything with you. Whatever the decisions made by your team, the team takes responsibility. And that led us to even higher goals and visions. What next? We climbed another mountain, which is higher than the one before. Again, without supplementary oxygen. This is the 6th highest mountain, Choyu, located entirely in Tibet. And at that time, I had an NUS student who climbed with me. And it was fantastic that we submitted the mountain together. But sometimes, climbing a big mountain is not so rosy. There are dangers that you will face. I was caught in an avalanche and nearly killed me. It came off suddenly, and a whooshing sound and you can see the top of the slope running towards you. Fortunately, we were at the start, at the foot of the hill, and we were running for our lives right at the bottom of the hill. And my friend just joked, never say nobody can run or anybody that cannot run. You put a tiger behind them, they will run very fast. With that avalanche coming down, we ran and we forgot to breathe. I tell you, it was panting, it was like drowning. But we survived. And what didn't kill us only made us stronger. And we get back up on the mountain again. We tried to climb K2 in Pakistan and reach Camp 4, the final camp before the summit. But that year was a very bad year as well. 11 climbers died over 24 hours when a huge serac fell off. And we were fortunate to escape that serac fall. But the mountain was so mournful at the time that we had to call off the expedition. Now I'll show you a little short footage of what it is like on the ice fall of Mount Everest. Over here, you will see a climber, me, crossing the ladder on the ice fall. And after that, you will see little crevasses that we have to cross after the ice fall. Footage, please. This is about 6 o'clock in the morning. The next one will show a footage from Camp 2 to Camp 3. Over here, you see the wind blowing over the slopes of Everest. And we are looking up from the base of the Lhotse face. The Lhotse face is the face before you get onto the ridge of Everest and climb to the top. And you can see spindrift, snow, and when you see a climber not moving there for some time, he's not posing for the photograph. He's panting like mad over there, and he's resting. Footage, please. The footage that you just saw actually was Camp 4, the played in advance. Earlier on you see a climber in a tent. Usually at night, the weather deteriorates, and as the wind picks up, you will not sleep very well. You will hear a roaring sound of the wind outside, and in the morning, if the bad weather continues, you will have to abort the summit at 10 and come off the mountain, because you do not know what will change up there through the day. So this footage is the one on the Lhotse face. Footage, please. lots of challenges that we face every day. Whether you like it or not, we live in a society, and every day we face different scenarios, and every one of them is a challenge. Mountaineering is a metaphor for progress, and rightly so. Human race and mankind progress by scaling new heights. And it is in school, from Sec 1 to Sec 2, Sec 3, Sec 4. And then all the way to university, to PhD, to research, there is never ever an end to it. Everyone is a mountain in itself. When I stood in a classroom 20 years ago, after thinking, where do I find the money to pay for the piece of glass, I realized why the teacher in front was crying and having tears in his eyes. For the very fact that he cared for us. He took pains for 1 whole month to teach us something, and I let him down. Upon reflection, I realized that maths was one of my mountains that I had to overcome. And I did not become a maths ace overnight. It was difficult. But I struggled on and persevered. Over 2-3 years, it became one of my favorite and best subjects. And in parting, I would like to encourage all of you, leaders, student leaders, whatever it is, endure, be resilient, see through the journey, and fulfill your visions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goh. We'll now move on to the question and answer session. Our guest of honor, Dr. Goh, has kindly agreed to take questions from the floor. Mr. Elijah Chua will chair this session.
Test. Alright. Okay, I'll let Dr. Goh drink some waters. Go ahead, Mr. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will start our question and answer session now. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, just raise your hand and our lovely counselor here will come to you. And when she comes to you, please introduce yourself first, like the institution you're from, before asking a question. Alright, thank you, Dr. Goh, once again for being with us here tonight. Okay, I will start off the first question for you. After looking through the slides in your speech, I realized that climbing mountains and all is not an easy feat. And definitely on the way up, you will definitely encounter a lot of ups and downs. So how do you overcome the moments when it's the most challenging point in your journey up to the peak of the mountain?
A lot of mountaineering is really about overcoming the challenges inside yourself. The mountain may be the same every year. The people who climb on it are different. So when I climb a mountain, there are a lot of voices inside my head. Voices based on my experience and my training, whether I can overcome this obstacle or not. Or, like many of you who run marathons would know that there will always be something inside you to ask you to give up. So that, I think, would be the greatest challenge in me going up the hill. Any slightest, they say, of obstacles will always present a very good excuse to not do it or to go shopping instead.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Goh, for the answer. So now I'll open the Q&A session to the floor. Is there anyone who would like to ask Dr. Goh a question? Yes, we have a... Alright, yep. So please introduce yourself first before you pose the question to Dr. Goh. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Addie. I'm from middle school and I want to know why I climb mountains.
It's a very good question. I've been asked that a lot. And I think people in general, everyone enjoys doing things that they love. Perhaps you will ask the question, why climb mountain? Is because it is a lesser known activity. Say for example, if you were asked a dancer, why do you dance? Or a poet, why do you write poems? Or someone who is doing high jumps, why do you jump so high? Why do you need to jump so high? Or the person doing 100 meters dash, why do you need to run so fast? Everyone has different interests inside them, and that's what makes the society such a vibrant and beautiful place. And I climb mountains because it presents a fantastic scenario and scenery where I can push my limits. And I set my limits, and I believe that I can improve myself as a person and ultimately in a society by overcoming these limits. And I'm sure it is the same for people who are pushing limits in dances, in drama, and in most things that they do. Does that answer your question? Where are you from? You're from, is it Knox College? Knox School.
Okay, I believe the Knox School is here for an exchange with our school from Australia. Alright, is there anyone who would like to ask another question? Alright. Okay, maybe our guest. Just that lady on the left side.
Hi, I'm Helena. I was just wondering, when you climbed your mountains, did you ever think that you couldn't do it, but what made you keep pushing to get to the top of the mountain?
Usually on the mountains that we climb, there were many occasions that we think we couldn't do it. It is either we encounter very bad weather, the terrain has changed, the crevasses have opened up, and slopes are getting more and more avalanche prone. And in one of our expeditions, we were almost buried on a blizzard. A blizzard is like a rain or thunderstorm here, equivalent in Singapore. It snows for days, and the snow rises maybe 1 meter, 2 meters, and it buries your tent. So if you sleep in your tent and do nothing, the weight of the snow will break the poles of the tent and you get buried alive. Suddenly your tent will just go boom, and everything will just fall down on you. And in that sort of situation, survival was the key thing in most harrowing experience. We want to survive, we want to get up. And usually the only way that you can overcome that situation is to have a fighting spirit. The only way to get up is up. So what motivates us is really that we want to live. Yes?
Yes. Thank you for the question. We have another question. We have okay, a t-shirt.
Hello, good evening. I'm Huining from Yuchugan Secondary School. I want to expound over our guest questions. Why climb mountain? In 21st century, we are talking about money. When you are a professional dancer, you dance and you express your best so that you are the best among them all. And that brings money. So are we going to tell our students, climb mountain, have money or no? So one question. Second question, how do you transfer your zest for climbing mountain to your professional job? And how are you going to inspire our younger generation to transfer this zeal and resilience into other domains so that they will know that money is not the only thing for all life work? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. Who doesn't want money, isn't it? It's good to have a lot. When I was in university, I joined 14 clubs because I was very interested. I was very playful. I was interested in what is the thrill of, say, skydiving, hang gliding, caving, mountaineering, mountain biking, snowboarding. And I realized that until you allow that person to go through that experience, sometimes you will never be able to understand the joy of doing something that may not be related to money. Say, for example, if students or people are exposed to an experience that they have not experienced before. Say, pick someone to go scuba diving, and all of a sudden, under the water, that person may feel very liberated, very happy, very content, and the feeling of being wonderful in the waters is something that money cannot buy. But of course, you have to surface and face the real world after that. But the point is, everyone has within themselves something that will liberate them, something that they like. And you may not know what it is. In your limited years up to secondary school, your experience are also very, very little. As you progress in your studies and you see the world in a larger context, one of you may be the next dancer, next movie star or an actor, or something that doesn't bring very much money, like in conservation, preserving the world, Greenpeace, and all that. Does that answer your first question? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shodi. I believe we have a student from...
There was a second part to that.
Sorry. Okay, carry on.
How do you translate your journey as a leader to, or in mountaineering, or as a leader to what they're doing, say at home, or even in school? I was in research before, in aerospace, aeronautical. Research is all about finding new things. And it is a fascinating field. There is never an end to it. And because in mountaineering, one is always looking for challenges. If you are a researcher sitting down and you're content with what you have discovered, then you will not move very far. But if you always have this mindset to discover and to push boundaries, your work will show it as well. You don't have to do very big jumps or very big discovery. Every little one adds on the little tiny step that will eventually result in a monumental discovery. That's how researchers work in this world. Every thousands of researchers in this world are just doing small discoveries. And the next generation collate the results, put them together, and improve upon the research. And 10, 20 years time, you see big discoveries. Does that answer your second question?
Hello. As a teacher, I also resonate with what you say, because I just wanted you, as a professional, to impress upon our students the need for building character. Money is secondary, as what you have said, because whatever passion you have will run a longer way than seeing the money. When you draw money, if you draw enough money, and how much enough is never enough. But the passion that you was fulfilled, the love that you have done, will be able to carry you a long way. Just like the transformation of what you have done, as you have shared about your mountaineering experiences, and you have shared that you transfer your zeal and your passion in the work that you do, which carries a long way. I thank you, Dr. Goh.
Thank you, Dr. Goh, for your encouraging answer. I think we still have time for one last question. Okay, sorry, okay, we get Jesse.
Good evening, Dr. Goh. Thank you for your meaningful speech. My question is, what are you doing to ensure that you continue to grow and develop as a good leader towards, to everybody?
Can you repeat that question again?
What are you going to, what are you doing to ensure that you continue to grow and develop as a good leader in the future?
Thank you. I think a leader will always need to have visions and goals. Where are you leading this group to? Or, effectively, as a leader, you must be able to be a leader to yourself. Where are you leading yourself to? It sounds like a very simple question, but it is not. Because in life, you will always be faced with that question. Where are you heading? Sometimes people take years out to discover that. Some see very long term, some see a little bit shorter. But you must always have goals and have dreams and have the passion to fulfill them. And to keep the leadership spirit alive, is no point sitting down daydreaming. Only action produces results. You must do something about it. That's why when we started the climbing group in NUS, they came up with the name. Doesn't sound like a mountaineering group to me. They call it Make It Real. So it became Make It Real Student Mountaineering Program. You must make your goals and visions real. And you modify and you tweak them along the way. But every day you are heading nearer and nearer towards that goal. Does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Goh, for the answer. I think we can squeeze in one last question. Just really one last question from the audience. Okay.
Yes, my name is Christine. proceed. And my question is, in one of your expeditions, your team was barely escaped the avalanche. I want to know why do you still have the confidence to continue the expedition after that, even after you know there is a danger ahead?
The similarity that I can draw in life is, in life you will have many setbacks. Some of these setbacks can be as large as an avalanche. And I guess whatever that doesn't break you will only make you feel stronger. We realized that we underestimated the weight on the mountain of the snow on the mountain. And that changed our decision making when we climbed the mountain later on. But whatever it is in life, one day somebody will throw you a beanbag so big you cannot even stand up. But are you going to give up trying to stand up? Somebody will throw something as big as an avalanche to you. One of these days, whatever it may be in your life's journey, the survival instinct is to stand up and overcome it. And you must never ever give up. In many stories where people are stranded in seas, in the mountain, in the wilderness, what kept them alive is never give up. Does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Goh. So, is there any final advice that you have for our newly coming leaders of the school?
I think your title this evening, Endurance and Resilience, is very apt. And as I see the cohort of leaders here, it is always very encouraging. One of you may be the next leader of Singapore. Who knows? One of you may be in class with chalk feather duster thrown at you. And you might be, maybe the rascal will be the future leader of Singapore. Who knows? But it is good to see so many people taking up that responsibility. And it is a journey that you will never forget, I can assure you. If you take it seriously, if you set goals and objectives, I believe you will live to remember the years that your leadership qualities were built up.
Thank you, Dr. Goh, for your time with us. We'll come to the end of the session. Dr. Goh will now be on stage for our leaders of us.
Thank you, Dr. Goh. We'll now move on to question. Thank you, Dr. Goh. On behalf of the school, Sharina will now present an art piece. Dr. Goh, please remain on stage to present the certificate for the Outstanding Leader Award. The Outstanding Leader Award is presented to secondary 4 and 5 student leaders who have contributed significantly to the quality of school life in their CCAs or classes and are role models to their peers. From Student Council, we have Sharnia. Mr. Low. Lim Yokfen. Guan Shaohan. Sohira.
basketball, Muhammad Shafiq. And Lim Junyo. From netball, Guan Xiaohan. And Korea. From badminton, David Yu. From band, Chua Dongxun. From Chinese dance, Lim Yokfen. From choir, Christine. Joanna Yi. Joycelyn Han. Ho Soo-pin. And Janice Chua.
From Drama Club, Tibeka. Chen Yingxue. And Kang Changkai. From Indian dance, Xinyi. Dajrina. Vidyasri. And Ravana. From Red Cross Roof, Micah. David Yo. Sophia. Huining. Lee Wan-wing. Ang Zheng-yue. Sabrina Sun. And Mary. David Yo. From 4A1 Class Committee, Joanna Yi. From 4A2 Class Committee, Janice Chua. Tivaka. And Khan Shanghai. From 4A3 Class Committee, Nur Hidayah. From 4E1 Class Committee, Christine. Ho Soo-Hwin. And Tiki. From 4E2 Class Committee, Chelsea Twan. From 4E3 Class Committee, Nur Shafiqa. And Shannon Shaw. Thank you, Dr. Go. On behalf of the school, Sharina will now present an art piece as a token of appreciation to Dr. Go. Thank you, Dr. Go, for listening to them and sharing with us your experience and insights on leadership. As we have formally shown appreciation to the student leaders who have contributed selflessly to the school, we would also like to usher in new leaders who will continue the good work done by their seniors. This year's election was an exciting one. The Student Council President nominees took to the stage to share with the school about what they would like to improve on the school and get the votes from both the teachers and students. Let us now put our hands together as we invite the new President of the Student Council, Chalisa, to present us his speech.
So, good evening everyone. I am Chalisa the newly elected president. Firstly, I would like to convey my gratitude towards teachers, seniors, and friends for your votes and guiding me along the way. I would not be here if it's not for you. Thank you for seeing strength in me when I am weak in doubt. This mantle of leadership may be heavy, but I know that I am prepared to strive for the best and continue to learn. I decided to join Yushukan Secondary School Student Council because I felt that Yushukan Secondary gave me a lot of opportunities compared to my time in Thailand. This drove me to want to serve the school and make a difference. After I became a student councillor, I was able to be a part of something that I have never experienced before. The student council furthered my visions and experiences. By meeting various people and interacting with them, I realized that leadership is not so much in words, but in attitude and in actions. As I moved on from a student councillor to an assistant director, I learned to be more independent and self-confident, as I was given more opportunities to hone my skills in terms of leadership and communication skills. I have also come to discover my own strengths and weaknesses, and move forward in my journey as a leader. Ultimately, I learned that the most important quality is perseverance. It does not matter how many times you fail, if you do not give up, anything is possible. After all, hardships do make us stronger. While I was preparing this speech, I came across a quote that I would like to share with you. Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength. Through my experiences, I learned that leadership is about persevering to acquire three main things: the heart to listen, the attitude to inspire, and the willingness to improve. Being a good speaker is just one aspect of a leader. Leadership is not only about self, it involves others as well. A heart of listening will allow us to empathize with people whom we are serving. With a good attitude, we will be able to inspire others through our actions. Finally, I believe that leaders must have the willingness to learn and to improve ourselves. It is always a journey of learning. As we learn, we will be able to take on more roles and responsibilities. This year, I decided to run for the Student Council President because I hope to instill a sense of belonging to the school. To do that, we need to take a step to create an opportunity for the students to speak up and voice their opinions and understand their point of views. Learning from them and using that basis of trust and collaboration to inspire and improve. Together with the Student Council, I believe that we will be able to achieve it, despite obstacles that lie ahead. Lastly, I would like to congratulate the student leaders and their families for the appointment that you are receiving today. You hold your position proudly. I applaud your desire to serve your school and community. Let us work together as a team to create a better YCKSS. Thank you. And student councillors. Vice President of School Affairs. Xinyi, Vice President of Student Affairs. Treasurer. Secretary. Maxine, Director of School Affairs. Director of Student Affairs. Assistant Director of Student Affairs. Justin Shah, Director of Communications. Assistant Director of Communications. Chen Zhongyi, Director of Council Affairs. Radha, Assistant Director of Council Affairs. Ravi Deva, Director of Discipline. Noor Anisa, Assistant Director of Discipline. This year, we are also delighted to welcome 29 new student councillors. Newly appointed student councillors are Former E1, Xinyi Lee, Agnes Huining, Former E2, Huining, Tan Kiki, Ladina, Travis Eswaran, Wayne, Medika. Former E3, Sean, Julian, Eunice, Yanji, G. Former E4, Leah, Gloria, Julian. Former A1, Kianmi. Former A2, Priya, Alia, Viva, Clyde. Former T1, Erwin, Anisha. Former E2, Emilio. Former E3, Nicole and Joey.
addition to the student council, the CCA leaders and class leaders work tirelessly to serve in their CCAs and classes. From badminton, Anson Tan. From basketball, Tan Han Chuan and Justin Ng. From netball, Angelin Sung and Lim Jiajia. From floorball, Lim Chang-Hu and Ong Hong Chen. The uniform group CCA leaders. From NCDCC, Ansel Wong and Gabriel Chan. From NPCC, Eugene Ho and Wong Jerry. From Red Cross Group, Muhammad Iskandar and Rachel Wong. The people and performance CCA leaders. From band, Sapphire Group, and Conceal. From fire, Natalie Chu and Moira. From Chinese dance, Chua Xinyi and Yong Wei. From women dance, Vaishali and Yuna. From Malay dance, Mo Atika and Leo Ashiki. From Zumba, Daniel Brown and Vanessa. From Visual Art Club, John Lohan and Gomez. The Art and Society CCA leaders. Infocom Video, Keng Hong Yan and Shen. Infocom 3D animation, Trust Shanti. Infocom robotics, Brian Chua and Grace Ren. The class chairpersons from the lower secondary classes. From 1E1, Adeline Liu. From 1E2, Travis Isram. From 1E3, Mark Cole. From 1E4, Laura Pu. From 1E1, J. Riani Kuti. From 1E2, Jess Trust. From 1C1, Hai. From 3E1, Muhammad Irfan Nur Ilhan. From 3E2, Sandra. From 3E3, Tilju. From 3E4, Muhammad Faris. From 3E1, Muhammad Sharul Ashraf. And from 3E1, Muhammad Rosmurza. And finally, the class chairpersons from the upper secondary classes. From 3E1, Teng Min Qi. From 3E2, Mark Zhen. From 3E3, Mo Dayansky. From 3E4, Tan Han Chuan. From 3E1, Tan Shui. From 3E2, Tan Yonghan. From 3E3, Muhammad Nur Nazi. From 3E1, Mo Shakila. From 4E1, Christine. From 4E2, Chelsea Khan. From 4E3, Mo Amira. From point 2, there's Dennis Rock. From point 3, John Dyer. From 41, Bernard Wong. From 5A1, Catherine Wong. From 5A2, John Smith. The student leaders have an important task to fulfill. They are both role models for their peers and are representatives of the Yio Chu Kang values. The position they now hold carries great responsibility and will demand both commitment and hard work. We have no doubt that they will be able to make us proud. The oath of service that the student leaders will now take is a mark of their commitment to always do their best. Student Council President Chawisa will lead the student leaders oath. We would like to invite Dr. Goh, Mrs. Lim, Ms. Lim, to cover the gallery.
All student leaders, please rise. Please raise up your right hand. We, the student leaders of Yio Chu Kang Secondary School, do solemnly swear that we will faithfully do our best to uphold our diligent duties, to serve our school and community with pride and integrity. Thank you. Please be seated.
We would like to invite Dr. Goh, Mrs. Lim, Ms. Lim to take a group photo with the student leaders. May I invite you to look at the gallery? This evening, we invest in a new team of student leaders to take our school to new heights. It has been our great pleasure to share this proud moment with all of you. Once again, we would like to thank our guest of honor, Dr. Robert Goh, for honoring us with his presence. We would also like to express our deep appreciation to all distinguished guests for joining us tonight. Yio Chu Kang Secondary School wishes all of you a very pleasant evening. There is dinner reception provided for all just outside the theatre. Continue to share ideas and insights on leadership. Kindly remain seated while the guest of honor takes his leave.